I want to start off today's show by taking you back in time to earlier this morning where we found out that the Dallas Cowboys were trading for wide receiver from Pittsburgh, George Pickens. Adam Schefter put it out, so you know it's got to be true, and this is where today's video stems from. What's going on, football fans? My name is Moose. Welcome into NFL Daily here by Chat Sports, and I could not believe my eyes when this morning I wake up, come back from my run, and I get a push noti from Shefty that says, here's the full details with the trades from the Dallas Cowboys to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers end up getting a third-round pick in 2026 and a fifth-rounder in 2027, and George Pickens goes to the Cowboys for a 2027 sixth-round pick. And then the wheels started to turn a little bit. And I was like, who could some other trade candidates be after this George Pickens trade ahead of the 2025 NFL season? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about on today's show. The 5 players that I believe could be traded after this bombshell blockbuster trade between the Steelers and the Cowboys. So to me, this is pretty simple. I feel like there are 5 guys that are on the trading block as we speak, and we'll start our list off with Kenneth Walker, the running back from the Seahawks. Now, funny thing is the last couple of weeks, there's been rumors that have been circulating from, Seahawks reporters and Seahawks beat writers that were saying, hey, look, this could be a potential candidate that is kind of on everybody's radar, especially for the Seahawks. He was a 2022 second-round pick out of Michigan State. He, fun fact, ranks 5th in the NFL since 2022 in games with at least 2 rushing touchdowns. He's got 5. The only problem is he has yet to complete a full 17-game season throughout his career. So he's entering into year 4, and this is the unfortunate part, is he's got major injury concerns. Now, he hasn't missed significant time over those seasons. A couple of those seasons he played in 15 out of 17 games, but the results don't lie. I mean, when he's on the field, he's really good, but he can never complete a full season. So you have to take a little bit of good with a little bit of bad. There's a little bit of yin and yang to all of this, but I look at Kenneth Walker as an absolute commodity for, whatever NFL team that he lands on if he were to get traded. I still think the Seahawks want to keep him. I think they see the value in their running back room by committee, having Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, Rashad Penny. But here's what Sports Illustrated had on the Kenneth Walker trade scenario. In the last 2 seasons, Walker has missed 8 games due to multiple injuries and combined to rush for 372 times, or 1,478 yards, which is roughly around 3.9 a carry, and 15 touchdowns. During that same span, all the other Seahawks running backs have totaled 1,200 yards with 9 touchdowns on 287 carries, which is 4.35. So although Walker seems to be carrying the bulk of the load in Seattle, it's clear that their running back by committee is working. So to me, even though he might be RB1, is he easily replaceable? And the answer is yes, he is. Like I said, I don't think that Seattle wants to get rid of him, but if they get an offer that they can't refuse, it's bye-bye Kenneth Walker. So long, thank you so much for your service. Now, during the summer, it's kind of hard for us to pick and choose all of these different NFL stories. I mean, obviously, when rookie minicamps go on and OTAs happen, we'll be right there to cover everything. But if you're subbed all year long, you are a real one. And if you haven't, you're not a real fan. So become a real fan and hit that subscribe button for us right now. Our second trade candidate, Jaire Alexander, somebody that we just talked about here on the show. And Alexander has been one of those players that has not only been not available for his team, but he's also caused a lot of noise for his team. And currently, not at attendance for any of the Packers in-season workouts, or in-person workouts, excuse me. Now, I will say this. It doesn't mean everything, right? This isn't a huge deal because he is, in fact, a veteran who doesn't necessarily need to show up for them. But I'm going to throw something out there for you. His last fully healthy season, if you want to call it that, where he even missed one game, was in 2022. Now, granted, he was great. 14 PBUs, 5 interceptions, Pro Bowl type season right there. The problem is that he has not been available since 2022. The last 2 seasons combined, he's played 14 games. That's 14 out of 34 possible. And Green Bay's sitting pretty if they decide to trade him post June 1st. That's a $17 million cap savings hit for Green Bay. Now, Jaire has made it publicly known that he doesn't want to be traded. He would rather Green Bay just cut him so that he can go out and sign wherever he chooses. But what's in it for Green Bay at that point? Not much. So you could see that either one of those be the case, albeit I have heard, at least it has been reported, that Green Bay and Jaire have come to at least an understanding of what one side wants. And it's all going to come down to the pocketbook, the money, the cha-ching, if you will. Now, before we get into our other trade candidates, I do want to give a major shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. You can join 10 million members and sign up today. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with PrizePicks. They're going on right now, and it is some fun stuff to watch. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from your court to your PrizePicks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick today. Like I said, the basketball playoffs are heating up on PrizePicks. It is the best place to cash out on your favorite sports. You can turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball championship series. All of that is on PrizePicks. Starting with the first round, every lineup you make on PrizePicks will enter you into the Takes Two Ticket sweepstakes, which could get you a +1 VIP trip to the NBA championship. So here's all you have to do. Download the app and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It really is that simple. Just download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Here is how you play. It's this simple. You choose a player, you take the more or less on whatever category you want, whether that be points, whether that be rebounds or assists if you're playing for basketball, and then boom, you are in. So thank you so much to our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay, Kayvon Thibodeaux coming in at number 3. Now, I wasn't the first person on this train. In fact, I kind of thought that a dynamic duo between Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeaux might be just what the doctor ordered. And over the last couple of seasons, Kayvon, he's been a very productive NFL edge. I wouldn't necessarily call him a star quite yet. He had a really good season in 2023, and then it kind of dipped back down in 2024. But he did get hurt. He only played in 12 games. And after the Abdul Carter taking, it was clear to me that the Giants were saying, look, we know Abdul is our future. We know we have got a Micah Parsons, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett type edge rusher in our grasp. Abdul is faster, he's stronger, got better moves, he can blow past the defenders with more agility, the offensive linemen with more agility, not the defenders. But to me, that equals, hey, we haven't been so impressed with Kayvon Thibodeaux, at least not for where we took him, which was inside the top 10. So I think what you're going to end up seeing is Joe Schoen and the Giants front office are going to explore trade opportunities because they realize we're going to have to pay both of these guys in the future. Now, that's a long way down the road, but you're going to have to pay two of those guys, or at least one of them, I should say, top-tier money. Now, the side-by-side comparison doesn't necessarily do it justice. Carter is better in almost every statistical category. I'll give you this, though. Carter played in 16 games his final year. Kayvon only played in 11. But he did more than double him in tackles for loss, so he's a much better run stopper. Beat him in sacks, can still force turnovers the exact same way. As a prospect, Abdul is far better than Kayvon Thibodeaux was coming out of college. So I think, while I'm not, prognosticating anything, I don't have a crystal ball in front of me, I will say this. Abdul Carter, on paper, should be a far better professional than Kayvon Thibodeaux, and I think the Giants are ready to move off of him. And speaking of somebody to move off of, name a player that you believe is going to get traded before the 2025 NFL season. I'm going to go out on a limb right now, and I'm going to say, man, I really think Jaire is going to get traded. I think that has the writing on the wall of it right now. So I'm going to say Jaire Alexander heads to a different team. But let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to make this the pinned comment of today's video. Number 2, Kirk Cousins. You know, this is one of them that I debated throwing on the list, and I'll tell you why. The Kirk Cousins trade rumors have kind of simmered down because don't you think it would have already happened by now? We've been talking about Kirk Cousins getting traded far, far longer than even the last month or so. So I'll look at this and I'll say Kirk Cousins, to me at least, is one of these players that it can go either way. So Michael Penix is obviously QB1 in Atlanta right now. There's no denying that. But Kirk, I believe, some people would say that he still has some good, games ahead of him, but I would argue that's not true. He's coming off of an Achilles injury and now a shoulder injury this last season in 2024. Now, Albert Breer tweeted this out about a week and a half ago, and he said that there was discussion that Minnesota could potentially bring in Kirk Cousins in a trade with the Falcons. So bring him back to, Minneapolis and serve as a backup to J.J. McCarthy. If, God forbid J.J. were to go down again, you'd have someone that at least understands the system. But I'm going to throw back and push back at this. Tell me one 36-year-old quarterback that is coming off of 2 major injuries that anybody would want. And I'm going to tell you that answer is very, very slim. I mean, you could see the impact that the shoulder injury had on Kirk Cousins last year. He fell off of a cliff. 69% completion percentage down to about 62.5. His yards per game dropped drastically. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is look at the touchdown to interception ratio. He goes from roughly almost 2.5 to 1 to barely even a percentage point. So this was clearly the workings of a really nasty shoulder injury. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. Who on earth is going to trade for a quarterback that's that old with 2 major injuries? It just doesn't make any sense because now there's no natural landing spot for Cousins. We thought it could have been the Cleveland Browns. That obviously didn't happen. Joe Flacco, they drafted 2 rookie quarterbacks. That's out the window. So now I'm looking at what's a team that could actually really want Kirk Cousins as a starter in 2024. If you're trading for Kirk to be a backup, first of all, I don't know why you trade for a backup, but it does happen from time to time. Kenny Pickett was just traded for, and he's going to end up being a backup as well. So I don't know what the draft compensation would look like, or the trade compensation, but I do know this. Kirk as a backup makes a whole lot of sense. As a starter, I have no idea who wants him, and that's just the truth. Our final trade candidate, Mr. Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. He's probably the most talented player on this list, somebody that can make the biggest impact to a team day one. And for a long time, it was being reported that Trey was going to end up working on a deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. Well, that has since hit a stalemate. In fact, Jeremy Fowler said this about the most recent Trey Hendrickson update. My read on the situation is that Hendrickson is convicted enough to stay away from the team, having no interest in playing on his scheduled $16 million salary in 2025. Right now, this is a waiting game. Now, the one thing I'll give Trey Hendrickson a lot of credit for is you're talking about a guy who's a top 5 pass rusher every single season, and he's only making $16 million. Myles Garrett just got $40 million a year. He should absolutely get a new contract, and I wouldn't play a single snap for the Bengals until I am compensated appropriately. But I will say this. The Bengals are kind of notoriously cheap. And we'll touch on that here in just a second. But take a look at what the current highest paid edge rushers in the NFL look like per year. And look, he's outside the top 10 right now. And he's a top 5 edge rusher. I honestly believe that he won't play for the Bengals unless he's going to get as close to $40 million as possible. Now, that you could say that number is going to be at 40 at the lowest, and he might have to go higher. But I think if you gave him, a contract that was worth $38 million a year, if you made a lot of that fully guaranteed, I don't necessarily know that I would say, hey, he's not going to play on it. Albeit, I don't know, where he stands as a what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know where he stands in terms of his monetary, baseline. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily know if he's got a number in mind that he says, this is the lowest I'll go and I won't play a snap until then. It could be 40. I'm not entirely sure. But the Bengals are historically cheap. So something tells me that there's something in the water that would prove that the Bengals are not going to pay him that kind of money, and then they would end up seeking a trade because the amount of draft compensation that you could get for Trey Hendrickson would be through the roof. You get at least one first-round pick, 100%. All right. Now, in the summertime, like I was telling you earlier, it is a lot harder for us to pick and choose where our stories come from, but that doesn't mean that content stops flowing. So here's what I want you to do. Hit that sub button for me. Our next goal is 410,000 subscribers. We are, a little bit closer than we previously were about a week ago, which is great. We are 2,000 subscribers during the NFL draft. So help us get to 410,000 by the time summer starts. My name is Moose. Until next time, be cool.